Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hanging with Howie. Tonight, we're going to answer some viewer questions, and I will go through them quickly for the audience that'll see this when it's posted. How do you organize your gear? Where do you store it? How often do you check it? And how often do you go through it and get rid of what you no longer need? So, before we start the show, we must recognize a sponsor here, DJ Event Planner. So that's www.djeventplanner.com. They've been a long-time sponsor, and all our other ones will be down below when this gets published. So thank you for helping us out with that. Now I am going to go from right to left this time, and I'm going to welcome Buddy from Chicago. Alrighty, and my road dog from Boston, Massachusetts.
Road dog.
John DeCauley.
Hey.
And we have Eric from New Hampshire here with us. And swinging to Temecula, California, we have the one and only Jay Brannon.
There you go.
Alrighty, so guys, yeah, these are, I mean, we don't have to do them all, but, you know, first question was, how do you organize your gear?
Do you think they mean hard gear or cabling or just everything?
It could be, well, all right, I'll give an example. The way that I have 3 sound systems, but every sound system has all the cabling and a spare for that one system. So I'm not robbing Peter to pay Paul and saying, get to an event and say, oh my God, oh, that's in system number 2, that cable. And oh my God, what am I going to do?
Right. Because this is interesting timing. I had a crazy wedding weekend, and it was crazy because I had set up at a backyard at 12 in the afternoon, and then I had to drive 25 miles to the coast to do a battery powered outside on a cliff ceremony. And I'll tell that off air, that great story, but everything worked perfect. Then I had to reload the car with the ceremony system and drive it home. So I decided I would use Friday as a day to go through. I carry 5 cable bags. 2 of them are primarily XLR, which I now know that I have something like 30 XLR cables. So I'm probably going to buy the Moat, Mother of All Testers.
Yes.
By Ben Stowe, because it's insane. I just bought 2 new 25-foot cables. So now I've got, 50 cables. Yeah. But I went through all my bags because my fear was when I got to the cliff, I wanted to have one bag that I knew had a 50-foot mic cable, an SM58 handheld, any power strips, 200 feet of extension in case there was power, which there wasn't. So I in a perfect world, my advice to anyone setting up their cables, go do a wedding or an event and bring an empty bag. And then in that bag, put all the cables. Like I have a ceremony setup. You have 3 sound systems. I always have a ceremony setup and a reception setup.
Yeah.
And I bought 2 empty bags. And in those 2 bags, they're now designated as everything I need for ceremony, everything I need for reception.
Yeah.
But I'm old school, everybody. I brought 300 feet of extension cables in case I needed to plug into the house, but they ran a cable. I still bring all my mic and speaker cables because to me, throwing a bag this big in the back of the Jeep isn't gonna hurt me as much as getting to the gig and needing to move a speaker 200 feet away and realizing I don't have that potential.
Right.
I kind of envy those DJs that can go, hey, I just picked up the Mazda Miata and put my system in it, and here I go. That's not me. The one thing I will say that I changed this week, I always carry a full backup system, which is a DDJ 1000 SRT. For this wedding, I switched to the Rev 5, but I put it in a headliner soft case that zips. What a weight difference from carrying two heavy road cases to doing that. And moving forward, I'm going to do that more often just to save my back a little bit and try to organize things down that way. And I hope that gives some insight. But regardless how you organize, you have to feel comfortable. And if you don't, however you organized it didn't work. Because I'm not going to bring, Buddy's got a Sprinter. He could bring his whole house. I don't want to do that, But if, let's say I got to the gig and there was another DJ in the next room and he said, oh my gosh, I don't have any XLR cables and I have to run a cable way down the hall. I can at least say, hey, buddy, I got you. I can help you out.
Yeah.
But if you're only bringing exactly what you need, then you will need to eventually bring more stuff because something will break. Do you remember when we all had one IEC cable that plugged into the computer or one that plugged into the printer? I found 18 IEC cables in a bag the other day. 18. Like, I might as well open a new Circuit City or something and start selling IEC cables.
Oh, man, I get you topped on that one. Try buying some ADJ Hexpar lights, and everyone comes with a power cord. I must have 64 IECs.
Oh, John, this was one bag. There is another bag that does not leave the garage that is full of IECs. And even I'm like, how come no one needs these now that I have them everywhere?
So if anyone needs them, please send your emails to IEC@DJNTV.com.
I can empathize with John. When I first got them, I was like, oh, they're nice and thick. And then when I cut in to splice them, I'm like, these are 22 gauge.
It's all shell. Yeah, it's all just plastic shell.
All show and no go.
Real nice.
And they don't fold up nice at all.
No, they'll fight you. Try when it's cold out too. That's even more fun.
Yeah,
they don't want to bend. They creak. Jay, were you good, or you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
No, for the people setting it up at home, they're like, I really should take a little bit more than I carry because you never know when a cable's going to break. I had a 3-foot XLR go bad off the back of the controller. And all that does is just goes to my speaker lead, which normally goes 25 feet out either side. Well, the 3-foot one broke. Because I carry 25s, I try not to switch out of the controller too often because those are the last sockets you want to wear out. So I always just leave a 3-foot jumper and I plug to that. If the cord goes bad, I'll switch it once. But you have enough leeway unless your speakers are so far out. And if you have to use another 25 to get that 3 feet, then have another 25 foot with you. Or another 50 and carry a few more IECs than you need because you never know. It's always going to break at the most inconvenient time. We do a bit of the corporate stuff out here. And so we have grab and go bags, and that's part of the deal. It's got to have a power strip. It's got to have the right speaker cables. No matter what speakers you bring, that bag's going to have everything electronically. And we've got, 5 or 6 systems like that if you're going to go set up here, take this one. It's got, inside it's got the 2 wireless mics. It may have another unit with a lapel, depending on what it's labeled for. But to be organized, don't like you use the expression, don't rob from Peter to pay Paul. Don't steal something out of another bag in a moment's notice because you're not going to remember a week down the line when you grab the box where you think everything is, and then you're short something. Another good habit is to make a checklist before you go to gigs.
Yeah.
If you don't trust yourself to say, I can't trust what's in the bag, or if you're part of a multi-op and you don't know who's taking what out of what, just lay everything out before you pack it for the time to go. Then at least you have everything you need with you.
I do that with my underwear. Make sure I have.
It says one say Monday, one say Tuesday, one say Wednesday.
Yeah.
he's got
his name written inside of it. It's just
you
Howie.
can have a system. Found, please return to Howie.
Now you dropped the golden nugget there, which people tune in for the humor, but they love the gold nuggets. And you dropped a nice gold nugget there with the pigtail, so that's already plugged into the mixer. I use a 2-footer myself, and I always leave it there because I can always repair those. But the ones that go to your controller, they're what they call PC mounted, and they're just 3 little prongs that are soldered to the PC board, and with enough bending back and forth like a hanger, they break. I fixed a lot of them. So you dropped a gold nugget there. That's very valuable.
Just that little set of jumpers. Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Me or Eric?
Buddy, what do you got?
The man with the sprinter.
Man with the
He
sprinter.
just brings everything.
Yeah, I do have a lot of stuff, and having backup gear is always important. But going back to like Jay and John, having again, I'm blessed I have that. But like I also have a couple employees that work for us, and like this past weekend, the wedding we were split because the property. Cantini is like around 500 acres of property, an 18-hole golf course, and this huge property with a bunch of gardens. The ceremony was on the other side, so it's like an 8-minute drive from where we were at to where the ceremony's at. So the van had to go back and forth a couple times to drop stuff off, drop equipment off. But
wow,
one of the things we have bins. So like it was an 80-person wedding, so I used Maui 5 goes on there, and we have bins, and it says Maui 5 on it. Inside there's redundancies, 3 25-foot cables, bunch of different IAC cables, anything else. Like I have RCF with JH, I have speaker poles. I have black and I have white, and it tells on the outside of the box. But putting on a tub on the totes, taking a P-touch and put what is inside there, any one of my employees or myself or Tracy can go to the van and see exactly, oh, wait, this tub here is full of those 200 IEC cables. And then inside there, the IEC cables are bundled together because you have short ones and you have really long ones. So really long ones, you want to keep together. So you can look and say, hey, I need a 25-foot IEC cable. I have one here, but I don't have an extra one. Boom. It's organization is part of that. And if you have, doesn't matter if you have an SUV, if you have the Mazda Miata, having stuff in, having a bag that's compartmentalized with different areas is very important. Plus, I'm going to say this, when you go through your equipment, you go through, especially cables, anything looks frayed, anything looks worn out, replace it. A $25, $50 cable is cheaper than anything else.
That goes back to what Jay said, to get that moat and check the cables. And I'll tell you what I do when I find out I have a bad XLR. I tie it in a knot. Boom. It's got a knot in it now, so that I know in my bin that this is a bad cable.
Not to be used. I see what you did there.
Hey.
All right. Hey, I'm here from the punny guy. I'm here all day.
Eric, have you got anything on this stuff? You can pick any question you want.
I'm going to pick another question. And
as long as I get a pack of Marlboros with me, I'm good.
Give me a pack of Marlboros.
Oh, knock it off.
I get no respect.
Oh, Jay, you're always good to pick on me. I love
Spice
it.
Girls. I got Ice Spice. I'll get you hooked up today.
I'm moving to California right next to you, pal.
There you
Don't
go.
worry.
Ooh,
I'll be up there. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go with how often do you check your gear? That's an important question because
yes, it is.
Things may seem like they're working properly. And then, like my mixer that I just had to replace, I think we discussed this off air one night.
Yeah.
And like one channel, and I'm like, okay, I still got 7. And I didn't need all 8. So I was fine. Then another one went, and I'm like, okay. Had I got this one and had a check, right.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to go and buy a new mixer. the one I have now is still fine as long as I just want to run 4 channels. But
They're falling fast.
you know,
You carry
the photographer that says, "Can I tie into your sound?" Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
off the
gonna
speaker.
happen.
Yeah, plug into the speaker. Can't do it for you over here.
But when I say what goes along with this, how often do you check it?
Mm-hmm.
I try to do this twice a month, and whether it needs it or not,
Mm-hmm.
I'll set all my stuff up outside, and I'll use like one of them airbags or them you use for keyboards that can air,
Yes.
and go through all the pods on the mixer with it, because you don't know. I mean, there's dust everywhere, and it's going to collect.
Right.
XLR cables, you'll check them to make sure, like you guys were just saying, they're not frayed. You don't want to be at a gig and tell your wife, "Here, hold the cable like this for 8 hours."
Yeah.
Don't move.
Just like this. Don't move.
Work
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Before you finish up there, Eric, I need to tell our audience: do not use canned air. What you're doing is pushing the dirt and everything into your keyboard area. Do not use that. They make little attachments. They even make vacuums that are like that. They're very small with a round brush as big as the keys on your keyboard, and vacuum and pull the dirt out. Don't spray and push the dirt in. That's where people have problems.
So same thing with an air compressor. Do not use that either.
Don't use that.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No. We've all seen that meme from India where that guy was using the hose, on the controller. It creeped everybody out.
Howie, real quick, I just wanted to mention, because we're coming up now. It's October. It's been hot out here, but it's starting to get cool.
Yes.
If you're doing holiday parties and you've been in a heated room running your gear for 5, 6, 7 hours, be conscious of when you go out to your 30 or 40 degree car, putting that gear in there. Think it through a little bit. Don't leave it overnight because it's warm and it's sitting in the car. Try to get the important pieces, controllers, mixers,
Laptops.
into your house at least. But you're gonna have that problem. The same in the summer when it's super, super hot. I'll put it in the car with the top of the case off. I don't care if I have to wait 30 minutes for the ambient temp to drop, because I know if I cover it with the case, I've now put it in a dark, heavy case. It's just going to work like an oven.
Right.
It's going to keep it hot. Then it's going to shock the temperature. I was telling, I think, John last week, when I used CDs back in the early 2000s, in the night and day, I would run a fan on one side of my case over the gear. And the logic was, before the temperature dropped and the moisture could collect, the fan would circulate the air and the lasers wouldn't get mist on them. And I can say, in all my years of using CDJs at night out here, where the temperature drop would be like 30 degrees, never once did I have a CD stutter. And I really think it's because I had this tiny little fan circulating air, so the temps never really changed that much.
Absolutely.
But, and take care of your gear in that respect.
Yeah, and John knows this very well, and so do I. From being up in the Olympic Village there in Lake Placid, we kept that stuff warm the whole time. And I know Eric heats up his car until it's hot, and he takes his main gear, like his controller, his video switchers, his computers, and anything like that can fit right on your front seat, and the vehicle is already warmed up, and he's had very good success with it. I did the same thing with my gear. Except I had to walk from that, but it was a nice hotel, I'll tell you that. But I put it in my backpack and I walked for 5 minutes. I got into the warm production trailer and set it down, and we had a fan going across to circulate. And you're right. You're right. Whether it's hot or cold, you've got to maintain a certain temperature on your on the very important, electronic equipment. So,
I mean, I know as a manufacturer, Pulse has had controllers at, I think, 31 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my
using
God.
them and not had issues. And I know that I've used controllers where the air temperature was 109.
Oh,
wow. And I had laptops go down. I had 2 different laptops go down.
They will.
I can tell you the controller didn't. And then a week later, I used the same controller in 94-degree direct sunlight for 5 hours. And I covered half of it. But like the other day, it was 98 degrees during the day, and my controller sat out from noon till 5 when I got back to it. And I had a white tablecloth over it.
Oh, that was smart.
And, I was going to put a black one, and I'm like, you're making an oven.
You are.
And I've seen guys take deck savers. Yeah, and take deck savers, and you've got to stop.
Yeah.
Go to my TikTok. I did a video with a thermal thermometer, laser thermometer. I had 2 cars parked next to each other for the same amount of time, a white Jeep and a black Volvo. And the temperature on the roof of the Jeep was like 130. And the temperature on the roof of the Volvo was like 163. It was literally a 30-degree difference. So, just even the common sense that I almost didn't show, get a white tablecloth from an event, from, Hobby Lobby, from wherever. Just get some white cloth if you know your gear is going to be outside in the summer, and use that as a cover, because it'll at least reflect some of the sunlight and the heat.
I get all mine from the venue I worked last week. I just take it, whatever's on that.
Just take that tablecloths. Yeah.
But
I can tell you now, Buddy will not DJ for you. Buddy will not DJ for you now, Eric. You're now on his blacklist.
I think also if you could look at like right now, because again, you're talking about being cool earlier. Like tonight here in Chicago, this is in 2028 where you're watching this, but in the year 2028 and this night in October, beginning part of October, it's going to go down to 36 degrees. So that's going to be our low tonight. So.
Yeah.
You sound like Zager and Evans. Remember that song? In the year 25.
Well, it's coming. We'll be celebrating that one next year.
So it's one of the things that, I've always done it when it's either, like you said, really cold or really warm. It's not just trying to protect the gear, but also, letting it come to ambient temperature, bringing it into, when you bring it into a gig, it's open it up. Let's sit there. Go a little earlier. Go 15, 20 minutes earlier. Let that stuff sit there, especially at cables. And I'm sure Howie's an electrician by trade. He could tell you that those cold cables, you bend the wrong way, you'll crack the insulation. You don't want raw insulation. You don't want the insulation broken.
Well,
it's one of the things. Take a few extra minutes, let it come up.
Yeah, you actually will break because it's stranded copper. You'll break that copper, and then that creates a resistor. When you have, they're not touching, they're barely making that. That's resistance. And they go, why do I have this buzz in my speaker? Well, get yourself a moat and check your darn cable.
Incidentally, the moat can be ordered from an LFX Pro, one of our
sponsors. Biggest sponsors.
We love as well. We love Ben.
We love Ben.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it is a box about ye big, and it has every cable I've ever seen, from XLR to 1/4 inch to mini to USB to BNC to
so you got Cat 5, Cat 8,
Cat 5, Cat 8. They're all there, and you plug a cable in. I think you can actually plug a cable, meaning both ends, and test it and see what the signal is sending, and it will tell you this cable is good, this cable is bad. Because
even a 16-pin HDMI, you can check pin by pin by pin by pin, and tell whether you're.
How he puts a knot in his cable. I've been at gigs where I've set up both speakers on a stand, plugged everything in, turn it on, and then find out, it's not working, and unplug it, but leave it there. running a new cable, and then at the end of the night, you're in a rush to get out of there. Buddy has a moat right there. Maybe he'll get a little closer to the camera, buddy.
For those wondering, it's the mother of all testers. That is why it is called what it is. So
yeah,
Ben's a brilliant guy.
This is
Neutrix. It's got everything.
This is one of the best things to have, and Holly would appreciate this as well as anyone else. It also comes with this, so you can actually test.
Continuity, yeah.
You can test it right off of it, so you can test and make sure you have continuity
and
with
I think
anything.
they're like $70 or $80, and you look at that and say, "Oh, that's expensive." When you're spending $30, $40, $50 a cable, wouldn't you rather keep a good cable than accidentally throw one away and replace it?
And wouldn't you rather keep a good reputation that, okay, these are, grab another one. Okay, this one works, put it in, show goes off on time.
Yeah, but you only plug, now let me just say, ask a question. You only plug one end of this cable into that?
No, you two ends.
No, it's usually got a male and female on either side.
Oh, yeah, then it was good all the way through.
You can check both ends.
Let's say you were at an event like Brian was last week. I felt so bad for him, where all his it was raining like hell, and his cap on the truck leaked and got all over his LD speaker and whatnot and the cables. I would do just like he did. You let that thing sit for at least a week. He let it sit for 10 days. And you do the same thing with the cables. And then I'd be like, hey, if that's wet, there had to be cables plugged into it. I would take those cables and use the moat tester on that. That just, duh,
Yeah.
But that last question, how often do you get rid of things you don't need? I think all of us in this room can say we don't.
We don't. We're pack rats. We have everything.
We replace it no matter what, right?
Yeah. I've been to John's house.
I haven't been to Howie's house, but he says it looks just like my house. So
he goes,
I believe
look
him.
at this. I got this. And then he goes, look at these. And he has two R2D2s. They're like 2.5 feet high, moving heads. And I'm like, holy crap, dude, where are you ever going to use this stuff?
We may upgrade, but we don't get rid of ever. That's the thing, I think, right? For the most part.
I do. I have donated stuff to a church and a youth center. But that was all halogen stuff. Remember? Does anybody remember the day? I mean, you guys are old enough to remember when.
I think I still got the burns on my fingertips from those. LED, and it's brighter and it looks better, and you can put your hand on it; it doesn't burn. And then it was like, I had 42 par cans that were, the old school. What's the name of the bulb on them, John? Just straight up halogens, 150 watt or 300 watt, right? Yeah.
Halogen. Yeah, the halogen.
The 2-pin that go into the ceramic block, those ones. Yeah.
I gave them to the church and said, look, just, all you have to do is turn them off. It was expensive for me because it was hard to get help. But at the end of the night, people want to get out of there. And it's like, no, let's take the sound system down first. And there'd be guys that would go up there and grab the halogen lights, and they're shaking them and stuff and throw them in the thing. And then it's like, I test them at home, and, those halogen bulbs, and this is back in the day, were $20-$30 a piece, depending on whether it was 300 or 500 watts, and I'm like, oh man. Boy, I'll tell you, when they came along with LEDs, I was so happy, and they're so much lighter, I mean, so does anybody have anything else they want to add to any of these questions here?
I think, as far as getting rid of old equipment and stuff like that, I know we're talking about donating, but also selling it at a timely fashion, and I'm guilty of keeping stuff like everyone else here. I maybe the first one in that I keep stuff too long anonymous group. But I think also that if you have someone who's looking for something, talking to other DJs saying, "Hey, I have another pair of speakers," or "Hey, I have this." It's still current model, or it's one series older. Are you interested? Are you looking for something, especially like DJs who are starting out? Maybe they're looking for the first generation of QSC K12s, or they're looking for some good EV speakers. They're like the last generation, or not the current ones. And they're a good working order. And again, I'm not talking about stuff that's destroyed, beat up, knocked around, unless you want to sell for parts. But if you got stuff sitting there, like I have a storage locker, I have a storage room, it's temperature controlled. I have some speakers there, and I've talked to a couple of DJs, and I have a couple of DJs who keep saying, "Yeah, I want them." Like, let's go, because they're just sitting there. But I want to sell them.
Well, no, get them out of this so I can get more new shiny stuff.
Well, not only just getting more new shiny stuff, of course, duh. But it's also the other part is that you only have so much room in the storage, and I'm not there. I'm not a warehouse. I'm not Ben Stoll having a store that you can go into and buy stuff from Ben. I'm Buddy Mueller, a DJ. I'm not selling this stuff, and I don't have a store. So I definitely would say that look at any avenue to get rid of stuff, but again, put stuff on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, stuff like that. It's kind of a roll of the dice with that. But again, if you start making friends with other DJs, you talk to people in groups, in networks, say, "Hey, I have set up XYZ, or I have an XYZ to sell." Okay, great. Let your friends know. Say, "Hey guys, I have this. Anyone interested in it?" Well, hey, I'll meet up with you at and get you.
The only problem I have with that in my area, because I'm in Jersey, is I would be selling to competitors, and I know it's a great system. It's a passive system. So rather than, cut my own throat, I donated it to the church and donated the rack with the amp and the crossover and the whole bit. It just made sense to give it away because I already atomized it, and I'm like, look, you guys can have it. I'll help you set it up. They love it because they don't have to move it like I was doing every weekend, and I didn't want to give it to a competitor where, he's going to go, well, how much did he quote? Well, I'll do it for $200 cheaper. I've run into that, Yeah. So
unfortunately, there's always those less scrupulous people out there, Howie. But here's a good thing is that not only do you donate it to a church and help the church out, but it makes you feel good too that you helped someone. Yeah. It's not just the financial part, it's the emotional part that you helped a church, you helped the group out.
Sure. If they need you to come in and service it, that phone rings, it's a blessing from above. Like, can you come in and fine tune this for us this week? I would be happy to.
I tell you what, they always fed me very well, and they did call me when they had teen dances. They said, "Hey, can you come do this thing?" And I was like, "Sure."
Just know they got a good system.
I was like, well, they were Electro Voice. They were Electro Voice with Crown amps and Behringer crossover and a BBE in there, and it sounded great, but it was too much to lug around with the halogen lights, which were really heavy and expensive to maintain. So
I'm not going to talk about having too much gear.
Tune in next week for the DJNTV yard sale that we'll be having here on the channel.
Yeah. I mean, every time we've done that, Jay just turns around. Oh, yeah, I've got that thing right back here on the couch. Yeah. Oh,
15 of those.
There's a point where it's like, and you hold on to it for way too long to the point where the value of it goes like that.
Yeah.
And you just realize, I'm going to end up throwing stuff away that other DJs would be like, "Oh my God, I'd kill to get that." It's like,
it's door stop now. I got 3 of them.
Yeah. I'm not going to box it and ship it and go through all that. And it sounds terrible, but I'm in a very fortunate. I mean, I've got 7 CDJs that all work in the garage, doing nothing. One's brand new, Mark III CDJ 1000, that in the day was worth probably $1,800. Today, who's going to use it? It's sitting in a box. Like, what am I going to do with it? I have a brand new DMP 555. So what? Like, no one needs it. No one's, you know what I mean? It's become obsolete.
Hold on just a little too long.
I have a headphone amp. I don't even know what it does. I have a 4-channel headphone powered amp. I have a BBE Sonic Maximizer. I have a brand new oral exciter in the box. Like,
I used to love them BBE. I used to love those.
The Sonic Maximizer. Yeah, but that's exactly my point, Eric. There was a time, Bill Marsh could use CDJs. You're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have DBJs that play video.
Yeah.
Well, good luck finding me a DJ that's taken a DVD and putting it in and playing a DVD through it. Because now for $99, you can run software that plays HDMI out.
Well, if it comes with a laser disc player, free laser disc player, throw that in and we get a deal.
Yeah. Well, you guys make a good point. There was a time and a place for the BBE Maximizer.
This is a laser disc of Star Wars. I don't even have a laser disc player, but I have a laser disc of Star Wars.
I think that's called a collector's item.
Yeah, you put that on.
Like, it's probably worth like $5 to somebody. Like, what am I supposed to do with it? So I keep it.
Right.
I put it on eBay. Well, that's it. Again, now I have to go to the store and I have to wrap it up. And
anyone interested, put your information in the comments if you want to. Star Wars laser disc.
Throw it to
Hey, look, quick. I'm going to drop another nugget here. If someone is willing to pay the price, you can go to UPS with that Bear BBE or, whatever, the laser player in your hand and go over and say, ship this to Joe Blow in California. They will box it for you, with the bubble wrap and the whole bit.
Right.
Strap it up and boom. And you tell them, hey, you pay the shipping, you got it.
Well, and that's what I'm going to probably do in the next month, because I do want to get rid of stuff. I'm doing a garage sale next weekend to get rid of furniture. Next will be like, I've got a used twice EV ZLXA1 sub that is awesome. I paid $450 for it. I'd take $250 for it right now. And there's somebody out there that probably wants it, but it weighs, 45, 50 pounds.
Too much.
I don't have a box.
I give you $100 for it.
No. Operators are standing by. Please call now.
Yeah, wow. Okay, Howie's now going to play that game. It's real quick, Howie. You hit on something. No matter what it is you have, even if you say what I just said, I'd take a couple $100 for it. There is a number in your head where you're like, screw you, you're not getting it for that price. You know what I mean? So that's why you end up holding on to it.
Break it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather keep it.
I'll take it out in the field like the office.
Okay, I'm going to...
And I'm saying this, if God forbid anything happens to me tonight, if I don't wake from tomorrow morning, buy a flight to San Diego, get a car, drive to Swing in Temecula, find where I live, get to my wife as quick as you can and say, hey, you don't need all this DJ gear, and get a U-Haul.
Yeah.
And give her a couple grand.
I got it on video. He said $200 right here.
I also added a couple grand in there, John.
Jay said I could have that. Jay said I could have that last night.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fear. You guys be coming out of the goddamn woodwork.
I'll give you $300 for that sub if you take EBT right now. Right.
Yeah, exactly. That, a carton of Marlboros and a bottle of glass.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like being in Walpole State Prison over here. We're in the commissary.
A carton of Newports, too. Throw that
I got ramen. Oh, geez.
I know what you got here. You're not getting this for cheap. I know what I got here.
2 cans of tuna. Trust me, I need those XLR cables.
I got to say, this is the longest running Hanging with Howie show I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, we did.
It was fun.
The sad part is half of it's going to get deleted by John.
Oh, so this is going to be the hour special edition. This is like the holiday special.
Oh.
If it's under an hour, he can just it slides by on Google Play, all the services out there.
Ones.
All the
Let me throw this out. Has anyone considered, because I know for my company, we switched to these cases about 9 years ago. We used to have cardboard boxes of cables that would go to trade shows. And I said, hey, it'd be great if we got Pelican cases, and we looked into it, and they're very expensive. So then I went to Harbor Freight one day and sent a photo back to my boss and said, hey, these are Pelican style. Some of them even have air pressure. Right. So when we send liquids, we put them in the air pressure ones.
Only some of them, but you need the air. You need the air pressure for all electronics.
Well, for cables though, like when we're sending like a case of XLR with power strips.
Well, okay, but if you were to send like a controller or something that
no, that stuff, yeah. Well, and you know what, Howie? We don't send it in air any more than you get it in air. No, a controller gets sent to you on a plane in a cardboard box, the same way it comes to us. Yeah. So that's not pressured. But my question is to anyone watching this, if you want to put in the comments, has anyone tried going from bags to and I'll use Harbor Freight because they're the cheapest, and they're still like $40-$50 a case, but they have some nice cases. I do use a Harbor Freight briefcase with the pull-out foam for my wireless microphones. Yep. I pulled the foam out. I made it fit for my wireless mics, and that's how I carry it.
Because you never get it quite right, and then
it's not quite right. And here's something that I promise:
a dot of super glue to hold that one little,
Right. And this is going to be the golden nugget.
Oh,
another one!
I shot a video on TikTok because it happened. I carry a small briefcase, so with any briefcase or case, the top is always much thinner than the base. If you have to carry a case like that, always carry it with the top of the case closest to your leg, so that if it should open, the top that opens out will hit your leg.
Right.
Versus if you turn it and carry it with the opening on the outside of you, if it ever opens, it will empty out onto the road.
Now, is that for the protection of the equipment or for the family jewels?
Well, you're carrying it on the side of your leg, probably.
You don't want to play 52 pickup.
In front of you. But if you're carrying it like a normal case next to you,
I got you.
You have the opening section against you, so that if it should accidentally open, it will only open a few inches into your leg.
So that the handle that's attached, you want that on the outside edge, away from you, so that it opens in. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I would put a lock on, and I do a little tiny lock on. I do
Fun
have
fact for those of you that don't have the money like Howie does, because he's rich.
Yeah. I have one Pelican. Well, two of them, but I'm not bragging. Yeah. What? But anyway, no. With those, with the either where you get it, the Pelican or Harbor Freight, they have the holes where you can put those small locks on there.
We put zip ties when we transport them from
or
show
zip
to show.
ties.
We zip tie them and cut them.
Because
that way,
what's the worst that can happen is they're gonna X-ray it and cut your lock off. Big deal.
We do it as much just so that it doesn't accidentally pop open. Right. It's not going to, but if it gets manhandled around,
another golden nugget.
Right, and they can stack. So if you're going in the car, instead of having 4 bags of cables, maybe you break it down to 2 Pelicans that can stack or go side by side, fit a little bit easier in the back of your vehicle, and then have a separate bag that's only set up for reception, I know Buddy's got multiple speaker setups because he uses a lot of, he'll have a satellite over here, he'll have reception over there, he'll have the, because he smokes weed, he'll have that section over here and stuff. So it breaks differently. But
put it all in the Sprinter.
Yeah.
He could put it all in the Sprinter.
It's already in the Sprint.
There is.
Right? Alrighty.
Have 40 sets of speakers.
Yeah, don't give out your address, buddy.
Thank you
123
very
Main
much.
Street.
Thank you guys very much. There was a lot of gold nuggets in here with some humor. And hey, as always, when this gets published, folks, leave comments down below and we will answer your questions and have a little discussion and drop some nuggets for you. So we'll see